How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. We're in Manga Studio, like usual. Manga Studio 4. And there's another video I'd like to address with you guys. And you've heard me talking about Manga Studio 5 and the comparison between the two. That's not the point of this video, but I will say right now, for those that are curious, and who knows how long that's going to take to get out there, that I am preferring Manga Studio 4 for everything except pencils. So what I usually do is, like, especially in this one too, which I'll show you guys in another video, is do my rough to tight pencils in Manga Studio 5 and then open that file up here in Manga Studio 4 and get to inking. And I'll tell you guys more about that and a reason why in another video. But so here, I just wanted to say as well that those blue lines that I was drawing over the guy's body there, I do that sometimes in perspective shots like this, just so that I can remind myself the way that the body should flow in the perspective. So it's kind of like a cone, and then you draw the lines around the cylinder or the cone just to get the area that you need. And you'll see me continually flip left and right throughout the video, just so that I can get a fresh look on, the image. It gives my eye and my brain a brand new chance to look at the image, see if there's little errors or anything like that. And I wanted to do this video here on this panel. It's not very exciting. There's not much to it. The panel on the right would probably have been more cool. But this one is definitely a shot that I struggle a lot with. I can look at this and I don't feel as confident, just to be honest with you, as I do with the panel on the right. And that's because of it's not even that dramatic of a perspective shot, and there's not that much action happening on there at all, which is why I think I struggle with it so much. With action shots, you get some liberty. You're allowed some liberty to have some weird angles and weird body shapes and stuff. So, there's that. And I just wanted to show you guys as well that we all struggle with certain things. A lot of us, we can draw faces like nobody's business. We can draw perspective shots like this like nobody's business. But then it comes to like an action shot and you feel a little lost. So, just trying to show everybody that doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter, what your background is, what your preferences are, what you draw well, you're always going to have something that you struggle with. It could be cars, could be anything. And so moving on here, we have another lady up here. This is for the standard as well, for those of you that don't know. And you can check out the standardcomic.com. This is issue 5, and getting about to the halfway mark now of the issue. And that leaves one issue left after this. And that'll be all she wrote for this project. Which kind of gets me into, I wanted to talk briefly about what's going to be happening comic-wise, project-wise, and channel-wise in a way as well. And I always kind of hate to do that, especially when we're doing something like this, because I feel like there's so much I could be talking about. I'll try to cut myself off and address things that are happening on here, that are actually related to the video, as opposed to me just talking about what I just said that I would address. I will say before I get that started, you'll see like this giant scribble on the left. It's like a giant scribble, and what that is going to be is I'm going to frame the shot with some hopefully interesting cables and details, and I'll talk about why I do that in a second. But what I wanted to say really quickly was a good pal of mine, William Robson. Actually, check out his webcomic that he's working on right now called jedcomic.com. It's a webcomic that updates every Monday. I met this cat in New York. What year it would have been? 2011? Maybe 2012. It's probably 2012. And, he's a really cool guy. And what ended up happening was on Facebook, I was noticing that he was always posting pictures and stuff. And we were just kind of talking back and forth. And we just started a kind of like a communication, like an open dialogue just about comics. And, I would ask questions like, oh, man, how are you producing so many pages so fast? And stuff like that. And, there's something to be said about surrounding yourself with passionate people that are energized, turned on about what they're working with and stuff like that. So what we've been doing, and something that if you have the opportunity to do, if you have the chance to do, I highly recommend doing it, is for anybody that's ever worked in an animation studio or high school art class, for all that matters, there's something there about working with people that you get along with that are working as well. And it's hard as hell to find comic work in general, but it's hard as hell to find like a comic studio that you can just kind of hang out and chit chat about comics or art questions or thoughts that you have, right? And so William and I, we've been talking, probably about a week and a half now, and we'll log on. He stays up like brutal late, almost to like 2 a.m. when we get on this Skype call, and I'll probably be on for about 4 to 6 hours every night. And what I'm finding is, while you're talking, and this doesn't happen with music or listening to podcasts or anything, but talking and listening to somebody else, is that the monotony or the work that you have to do for comics kind of just deteriorates. It kind of dissipates. It's gone, and you can just kind of let your brain have fun. So I just wanted to bring that up really quickly because I think that'll help a lot of people, especially cats that have a full-time job. If you got a family running around behind you and stuff, this might not work. You might have to stay up a little late, but see if you can get a little social circle going. See if you can look online for people that are looking into this stuff, because I definitely feel like there's something there. I felt the rewards, and my last week was actually very productive, and it's a refreshing feeling. Okay, so to talk really quickly about the framing that I'm going to do, the black that I plan on dropping on the top left and the bottom with some cables. It's a trick that I've seen people like Greg Capullo. Who else would have done it? A lot of people do it. And the idea is, imagine right now in this shot, you're the director, you've got the camera, and you're filming down. So there's a lot of open spaces there. So to fill that, what you can do is kind of imagine that. Well, what if there's cables and stuff all up in the ceiling, and you put a camera there, and some of those cables are in the extreme foreground, and they'd be dark and blurry above it. But what it does is it frames it, and it gives it a cool look. That's the whole reason why I'm doing that. It solves two problems. One, it fills up negative space, like a lot of white areas that might not have a lot of detail in there, and hopefully makes it interesting. And the second thing it solves is speed. It lets you get pages done faster. Now, this might not work during the daytime or something like that, but it's just something to think about that hopefully will help you with whether you're doing a comic page or an illustration or a cover. It works in every situation. I don't think I've ever come into a situation where it was a bad idea necessarily. The idea of things being in the extreme foreground of every shot definitely helps composition, I find. So anything in the extreme foreground, middle ground, and background. That's basically it. So here you'll see I just grabbed the line tool, and I'm carving in shapes that I've already established with my pencils. And here, as I'm shading it in, I'm like, oh man, I screwed it up. You can see the pattern that I left on the wall, and that would have been a shadow, like a cast shadow coming from somewhere. That would have looked fine, but it wouldn't have done exactly what I was hoping it would do. So here I'm using the old Freddie Williams technique where you make a layer and you drop some black lines on it. And normally you would shrink that and fill it white to get like a cool line on there. But what I'm doing is this is what I'm talking about here, trying to make it visually interesting. So yeah, it could just be shapes and it could just be solid blacks. But if you go in there and you add a little bit of love with like the lasso tool, you can get some pretty cool, like look at that cable in the front. It looks like there's a nozzle or something on there. Just visually interesting. And that's all you're looking for. And here, just throwing down some shadows, just to establish a light source. Right there underneath of that guy's medical table there, those are what you'd call cast shadow. It's casting a shadow underneath itself or onto something. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, do a little bit of research. Check out what the difference between a shadow is and a cast shadow, okay? The very important, shadow is what normally all of us would work in, but a cast shadow can really set your art up. It can make it look a little better, I find. Okay, so what you saw me do really quickly there was like erase some of the lines I had, and all I'm doing is I'm using the same Maru brush. The settings are on the right there if you wanted to check them out. And I'm just drawing in white. And what it does is it hopefully takes away a little bit from this looking like they were drawn with straight lines with like a micron or something like that. It gives a little bit of flavor to it, like a little bit of as if it was done with a quill or more organic thing. Than I find, like, especially with backgrounds. I draw a lot with straight lines. And you're going to see actually on the TV it's all ruffled up a bit. I'm going to add that damaged kind of effect on the wall behind the lady, and I quickly erase it because I realized like this is supposed to be a clean area, and it's not, I'm hoping with a colorist when he gets in there, he'll make some nice sharp shines, just to make it look like it's just been waxed and buffed and all that stuff. And here I'm just working on the door. And you can check out one of my previous videos. It's not that far behind, where I was talking about how you can get those grids in there from your vanishing points in Mango Studio 4. Definitely helps out. Okay, so there you go, right there. It's starting to it looks cool, but it doesn't belong there. If this was like a warehouse or somewhere a little bit gnarlier, definitely start throwing that stuff in there. It didn't belong in this image here. And we're almost wrapping up. So here I'm just adding some white lines here to break it up. Add a little extra detail to those silhouettes that we got in the front. Just beefing them up some more. And I should say as well, this panel took about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to do. It took quite a while for something that's not really, that crazy. It's just when perspective comes in, personally, I slow down a bit. But this was recorded while I was on my evening Skype chat with Will. And it was kind of a test to see if Camtasia would record and my computer wouldn't die while doing it, and it seemed to work. So expect more of this kind of stuff on a more regular basis. But until next time, you guys know the deal. Keep reading comics, keep making comics. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.